community work takes time, right? You're building trust, you're building loyalty, and it's not something that you do in a day. It's like builds up, it compounds. But the thing is that most companies just expect that you establish a community today, boom, it picks up, boom, people suddenly start loving your product, boom, people start doing things. So there's like a lot of pressure, and that's why you get to most of them telling you, oh, we're not seeing what you're doing. Companies do not understand what community is and why they want a community.
Hi, welcome to the Early Stage Marketer podcast, where I speak to marketers in the trenches doing the work. In just 20 minutes, you hear the story of one challenge they faced, how they navigated it, and what they learned from it. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and share with a friend. Chizurum, Jennifer, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This is actually my first podcast appearance, so yay to you.
Oh, yeah. It's such a pleasure. You see, we are a team of first. I'm so happy you're here. Thank you for
Same here.
making our time to be here. Thank you so much
Same.
for making our time to join.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for inviting
So,
me. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So I'm so looking forward to, what we're going to talk about. You said you wanted to talk about your experience building and growing tech communities. Why I love it is that if you ask me, I would say most of the most loved products in tech, usually, in fact, not usually, most of the most loved products in tech, this further alliteration, they're usually products that that have been fueled by community. So think of
Yes.
Notion, think of
Yeah.
Figma, and then if we
Yeah.
come to the crazy AI space, think of Lovable.
Oh, yeah.
Everything
Of
has
course.
been fueled by community. Yeah. So
Yeah.
SaaS
Google too.
companies, software companies, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So software companies these days are just investing in community, and I'm happy we're going to talk about it.
Exactly.
So I think the first thing I want to begin with is I wrote it down here. Based on your experience, right? What are the three things most people get wrong about community? I mean, you've been doing this for over 5 years. So based on
Yeah.
that cumulative 5 years of experience, what do most people get wrong about community management?
So I'm going to take this from two approaches, right? So the first
Yeah.
approach is what people think it is and what they
Mm.
get wrong about it.
Yeah.
And then only is what
Mm-hmm.
organizations totally get wrong about it. So I've had people walk up
Yeah.
to me coming from the people perspective and they're like, oh, community
Mm-hmm.
management. What is community management? And then you explain. That's one. And then some people that I
Mm-hmm.
have worked with, they say, oh, community management must be very easy. All fun and vibes. Just organize events, bring people together, pictures, and post it on social media. And then I laugh. If they catch me on a good day, I go deeper to explain. But if they catch me on a not so great day, I'm like, whatever you think it is, and I move on to the next thing. And then coming back to organizations, and first thing is that organizations, the first thing they get wrong about community is that most of them don't even know if they need a community or not. Right. So there was a time it seemed like community was like the buzz, the next big thing for every company. And then we saw every company just setting up a community, putting out ads for community managers. And the way communities that don't even, or organizations rather, that don't even recognize or understand what community management is you can see the JDs on social media. You're putting out a role for a community manager, but you're asking for someone that can manage social media. You're asking for someone that can do influencer marketing and all of those things, right? So social media can be a bit embedded into a community manager's role, but community management is not social media management and it's not managing
Yeah.
like influencer marketing, right? So most of them don't even realize or understand what community entails. And then what community or how community, like, let me use the word, gets, or like, what would I say, aligns with their goals or with the product that they are building. So there's like that first
Yeah.
mistake, which is organizations have not sat down to understand their why. Why do you want to have a community and why are you building that community? And it leads me to the second thing,
Yeah.
which is They think that community is a very quick fix, right? Oh, you have a terrible product. What do? Boom, open a community. Tell the community manager, oh, get us reviews. Let people talk about it on social media and all of that. Oh, let community just act as a support. We don't have strength to bother our support agents with it. Just boom. Anybody that has issues, direct them to the community. People will help them figure out, what they're supposed to do. So that is like the second mistake that organizations make. And then the third, which is something that is very personal to me, is that they think that community management is a quick fix. They expect like the biggest results in a very, very, very short timeline, right? So community management takes time.
Yeah.
And the thing about community management is that most or some of community work is largely invisible. Right, it can be a little bit hard sometimes to measure or quantify community work. Now, I'm not saying that community should be vibes, there should be no ROIs on whatever on all your community initiatives. But the thing is that community work takes time, right? You're building trust, you're building loyalty, and it's not something that you do in a day. It's not something that you achieve in 2 months. It's not something that you achieve in 3 months. It's like builds up, it compounds. But the thing is that most companies just expect that you establish a community today. Boom, it picks up. Boom, people suddenly start loving your product. Boom, people start doing things. So there's like a lot of pressure. And that's why you get to most of them telling you, oh, we're not seeing what you're doing. Oh, 1,000 people have not used our product. Oh, you were supposed to sell this 1,001 things and this has not worked. It's that, again, it ties back to, I think, the first point I made, which is that most companies do not understand what community is and
Yeah.
why they want a community, integrated into what they are doing. And then they expect it to be a quick fix and a fast route to maybe customer growth or whatever that the company is trying to achieve. These are three recurring mistakes that I've seen. And it's also common among my community manager friends that, I've spoken to over time.
Thank you. Thank you. I love your answers. I actually have another question, but when you were speaking, I kind of picked up just two additional questions I want to quickly ask you before we move to the next one. Yeah, I know we'll just catch up. Yeah. So, the first thing you said is for most people, most businesses who are building communities, they do not know their why.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's almost like, um, hey, community is the next big thing we should be doing.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And
Oh, our computer has a
is the
community. We
next
should
big
set
thing we
up
should
one
be
too.
doing, and then suddenly
Mm,
everyone is starting communities. Yes, exactly. So now, what should a company's why be? So I know, yeah, you're not in every company, you don't know what it should be, but imagine
yeah.
someone brings you on as a consultant and says,
Yeah.
oh, Chizurum, we're thinking of, yeah, so what do you think, even if you can just use a hypothetical community, whatever, but what's an example of a good
Okay.
why for wanting to start a community?
So I'm going to point to something which is called the spaces model, right? And it
Yeah, yeah.
encapsulates that's SPACES. It's like the 5 whys or
Yeah.
5 reasons that we've tried to like put
Mhm.
communities into. And then every company should
Mm.
derive their why from that. So the first thing is a community can serve as some sort of support for you. I manage InterSwitch's
Yeah.
developer community, and our community doubles as a support channel for people. So what that means is, I think Apple also does that. There are several examples. Apple has a community, and Google also does that. Minus your GDG group, it's more like a forum per se. I wouldn't really call it a community. It's more like a forum, but there's
Yeah.
that where
Yeah.
people offer help to people. So your customers are using your product, maybe it's SaaS product, and they run into issues, and they are maybe unable to really find an FAQ that explicitly defines what they should do at
Mm.
that point. Your community can be a place where
Yeah.
people come to get support, and then other community members can help them through it. There's also
Yeah.
something which is customer engagement, right? The E is engagement, right? I can't think of an immediate example right now, but a community or a company can build a community for engagement. So you've built something, you want people to interact with it, you want people to build some sort of connection around that products that you use. For example, fitness, right? iFitness Gym, for example, can decide to build a community around that, right? What is the common interest that binds everybody in that community? Oh, they are gym rats. They are people that like going to the gym. They are people
Mm.
that like working out. And so what that community can do for a business like say iFitness is engagement, or people are sharing tips for maybe leg days, people are sharing tips for abs, people are sharing tips for this, is that what that does is that it gives people a sense of belonging. People are able to even achieve their fitness goals through that community. And you know that over time there's going to be retention. That's how it ties back to the business. Because of the value that people are bringing from that engagement in your community, they stay with your business. There's the P, which is around product, right? So we see a lot of people that do beta testing. They can just, send the form to their customers, and then they can tell people, oh, we're building XYZ, or this, we're adding a new feature to the product and would like you to test it out, right? There's also the A, there's the C, and then there's the other S, but I'm not going to go into all of that. But for anybody who is
Yeah.
interested, they can just check out the Species Model by David Spins. It makes up the 5 whys
Okay.
for establishing a community. And it's important to note for these parts that also that a community can be set, or a community can be set up for more than one purpose. So, for example, mine at InterSwitch doubles as support and also like engagement, right? So your community, your why can be two. But again, to keep these simple, start off with one. Why do you want to establish a community? And as soon as you get that why and you start that community, then you can find other layers of it that can be complementary. So that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. Thank you. Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
Thank you. And then there's just something else you said. You can just give me a
Yeah.
one-liner, like one-liner short answer before we move on. So you also said that, well, most people just want quick results. And then you added the caveat that you're not saying we shouldn't measure something in the early
Yeah.
days, right? But we should
Yeah.
know what to measure at each stage of the journey. So what I want to
Yeah.
ask is, in the early stage, so let's say we've started a community 3 months down the line or 6 months
Mhm.
down the line, but ideally
Yeah.
less than a year, what should we measure in those early days? Is just one
So
or two core metrics to measure in those early days? Yeah.
It goes back to that species model that I talked about, right? So what
Mm-hmm.
you're measuring
Yeah.
depends on what your goal is. You cannot just measure,
Yeah.
just randomly. So, for example,
Mm.
if let's say a community was set up for support, one of the measurements or one of the ROIs that I'll
Mm.
have to look at is over the past 3 months, how many complaints have come or how many issues have our users had, and then to what degree have community
Yeah.
members helped them. So it tells you, oh, that points to me. If you have people that have
Mm-hmm.
issues and community members have come to their aid, it points to you that your community is actually beneficial, is useful, and is something that you should scale for the coming
Yeah.
years or for the coming months, right? So if it's engagement, for
Yeah.
example, a community is measuring daily active users, that's DAUs, and a community is measuring
Mm-hmm.
monthly active users. Oh, they might actually even measure the number
Mm-hmm.
of people that register for events and the number of people that turn up. And then after that, you can actually even register, oh, 1,000 people registered for an event and say about 400, 500 turned up for that event. Even after the event, did engagement increase in the community? Did you find out that people who are lockers, so lockers are just basically people that just join a community but never participate, they are just like onlookers. You're trying to say, oh, did a locker maybe attend this event and then this locker actually saw the need to fully participate or be
Mm-hmm.
part of the community? Did engagement increase after
Yeah.
this event? Did engagement tank after this event? It gives you an overview of the things that actually resonate with your community. And if those things that resonate with your community, are in alignment with your business goals. Because also something I forgot to say is that every community has to align with business goals. Every single community initiative has to align with business goals.
Thank you for that. So
Yeah.
something I want to ask, I mean, you've been doing community management for over 5 years. I think you started from this, VC firm that has a community of founders they invest in,
Yeah.
and then you moved to, you just progressed until you're now at
Yeah.
InterSwitch. So in all these things, I mean, all these your experiences, was that one major thing you struggled with in community building? Just one thing, very major, you've struggled with around building
um,
communities.
I think most of it would be, should I call it's psychological? I don't know if psychological is the term, but I
Okay.
struggle with, I never believe that I'm doing enough when it comes to
Oh.
community. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I think, oh, could I be doing more to make my members feel more connected? Is what I'm doing enough? Oh, and there are times when my members, I even see that members, now get to know each other more personally outside of the community, which is also a
Mm.
win, right? Because
Yeah.
you're also fostering connections. And then I have my
Mm.
members literally tell me, oh, this community is doing this for me. This community has helped me in this way. Well done, this and that. But personally, even sometimes in the community, but I struggle to believe it. It sounds like sometimes high praise that does not have any substance to me. So it's just, I don't know if it's
Mm.
psychological, I don't know what term it is,
Mhm.
but it's actually believing in the impact that my work makes. That's like the major factor that I've had for a very, very, very long time. The major issue rather that I've had for a very long
Long
time. It's just
time.
believing in
Yeah.
all that work, yeah. And believing in the good
Yeah.
that the community has done. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think I can relate to this, right? So for me also for a long time, though I'm not a commission manager, but for a long time in my own career, I
Yeah.
struggled or had this feeling where I felt like I was chasing an ideal. And to make it worse, I
Yeah.
didn't even know what the ideal is. All I know is that there's something in my head telling me you're not doing enough. This is not it,
Good.
And
That's
because
it.
of that,
That's it.
yes, yeah. And because of that, I find it hard to even share my wins. I don't see my wins as wins. So I
Exactly.
don't even share it with my,
Exactly.
superiors.
Exactly.
I don't
Exactly.
even talk about it. I just feel like you're
Yeah.
not doing well. So just bend down. And because of it, I can be doing amazing things and nobody knows because there's this head trash that keeps telling me it's not
Exactly.
enough, you're not doing
Exactly.
well. So
Exactly.
I think I can
Yeah.
relate.
Oh my
So
God. That is it.
so how have you been able to navigate it? So for me, if someone says, how have you been able to navigate? I mean, I don't know. I can't even say I did XYZ, but
Mhm.
I think I'm curious for you. How are you navigating this psychological feeling that you're not doing enough, especially considering that you're also battling this external thing where most times people don't understand your work, they struggle to
Yes.
see the impact, see it as meaningful.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you're
Yeah.
battling head trash. That's the internal
Yeah.
struggles. And then you also have to
Mm-hmm.
dispel all these external darts people are shooting at you. So
Yeah.
how did you navigate that feeling? Or how are you currently
Hmm.
navigating it?
Okay. Thank you for saying correctly navigating it because I'm still in the waters. So one of the things I do is that, how some years ago we spoke about, or you told me about having a brag sheet. I tried to do something like that, but a little bit different with my external stakeholders, right? So I've had people discover services, or I've had people use some of my company services or APIs in some cases because of the community or through my community, right? So example, if my community didn't exist, people might want to use a certain product or might want to know if we're able to offer a certain service, and then they'll have to go through the website, get the support email support, and then get the response. My community has now served as
Mm,
a discovery channel, if I'm to call it that, for the
yeah,
company. So I just have people come to and they're like, oh, we want to do XYXZ, and we're wondering if InterSwitch provides this kind of service or has an API that can enable us to do this sort of thing. And then,
yeah,
of course, there's several business divisions in InterSwitch. If it's within my purview, I help them through it. If it's not, then I serve as the link between that customer and the business. I now connect them to somebody who is able to help them answer their questions in good time and actually help them get onboarded. So most times I take, maybe screenshots or whatever of that, and I put it in my reporting to show the company that, hey, this is how this community is helping the business make money beyond the things that we're offering. And this is a projected income or projected results that is coming from this,
yeah,
right? That's one. Then the
amazing.
second thing is I've also come to realize that, oh, my feelings might be valid, but not everything my feelings tell me is true. So I've spoken
Yeah,
about how that
nice.
people give me feedback, and sometimes I wonder, oh, why are they saying this? Are they trying to make me feel good and all of that? And on the flip side, I think about it, these people do not have an obligation obligation to make me feel good. They are not exactly
Yeah.
friends per se. They are people that
Yeah.
I am building with, my community members, and I'm not paying. It's not like I've paid anybody money to give me some goodwill.
Mm-hmm.
So if
Yeah.
people are really saying these things without me having to incentivize them or trigger them to or ask them to, then it means that it's true, right? They know how that community has been of benefit to them personally and professionally. So I take these words that they say to me, and then I tell myself, oh, this is good. Maybe you should double down on this. It could have more ripple impact or ripple effects on the rest of your community. So the second, again, if I'm to put it in a sentence, is that I teach myself to believe the good that I do and the impacts that it does. That's the second. And then the third thing also is constantly question what I'm doing. I ask myself, is this the best there is? Is this the limit? Is this the summit of what you're doing in this community? Oh, there's a tendency to feel I'm not doing enough and all of that. And then you rest and then you feel bad and all of that. But feeling bad does not translate to doing the rest of the work that is required. So sometimes, just to get past through it, I try to see what other people are doing. I read reports. I comb through other communities in Nigeria, outside of Nigeria to see the limits that people or the lengths that people are going with community management, just to also challenge myself to go beyond what I currently know and what currently exists, just so the more I do it, the more there's confidence, the more I cast self-doubt aside or cast aside the thoughts that I'm not doing. But these are the three things. So show results in a way that it translates to business goals. Secondly, teach my mind to accept feedback about the good work that I'm doing and double down on the work. And then the third is going beyond what I know and what I've learned, so that it doesn't just end there for me. And that the more I learn, the more I do, the more all of those doubts fall away. And I have better
Mm.
reasons to believe in myself. Yeah. Those are the three
Yeah.
things.
I like that. You know the part I like best? I like the parts where you said if maybe you see something happens, maybe someone comes, buys the company's product through the community. I like how you said you take a
Um,
screenshot of that and then you share with your team,
yeah,
like you share with your leaders. And I find it so interesting because when I struggled with that epic head trash, right? I never even
yeah,
shared my work. I never even talked about my work because I always saw it as it's not good enough. If it's not good enough, why talk about it?
yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah,
from what you
yeah,
said, I think one thing I'm learning is, or one very vital lesson from what you just said is, even if your head trash tells you this is so basic. Why flaunt it? It's so basic. Why are you trying to talk about it? Ignore that head trash and go ahead and share that work with everybody or with the right
yeah,
people, with the relevant
yeah,
people. So do not hide
yeah,
your work, no matter, even
work,
if you think it's very
yeah,
minor, still talk about it
small, yeah,
nonetheless.
yeah, yes. And
I like
something else
that.
also, just to add to what you said, it's
Mm,
also the fact that sometimes we don't share because it feels cringe. Oh, why are you showing off?
yeah.
Sometimes it could not even be, the thought could not even be that it's small. For me, the thought could be,
Mm-hmm,
oh, it might not be so much of a big deal, but why are you trying to show off? Oh, there are other people that are doing
mm-hmm,
even much more than you are. So who are
yeah.
you in the grand scheme of things to show those things, right? But there's something
Mm-hmm,
I've started reading. Maybe a recurring theme for me recently has been like unlearning shame and decentering shame, to be honest. So
mm-hmm.
I do things that
Yeah.
feel cringe to me. I share regardless, even when
Mm-hmm.
it's cringe. Oh, there's sometimes you share it and
Yeah.
there's no comments. You might even be expecting to hear, oh, well done. This is great. This is that. And nobody comments on it. And then your brain might just tell you, don't even do it again. You see, nobody did that. But the huge part of decentering shame is coming back to that thing over and over again. You're not doing it for them. You're doing it also because you're trying to teach yourself something and you're also trying to show. So it's just showing up and doing
Mm,
it regardless of what your head tells you or what your mind tells you. Your mind is not always on your
mm.
side, to be honest. So that's also like a
Yeah, I
huge part
like
of it.
that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. I love that. I mean, I like how you shared the tips or the steps you shared around how you navigate it. So one last thing I want to ask is, what
Yeah.
lesson have you learned so far? I mean, now community is hot.
Hmm.
You've done it for You've even been doing it before it became such a hot thing in tech. Now, what was that
Yeah.
vital lesson, yeah, you've learned? Or let me put it this way. Imagine you move on to something else tomorrow, okay? And then you have to give one advice to someone who is going to take your place, or someone, a fresh grad just out of school, comes to you and is about to start a career in community management and they come to you to ask for advice. What's that critical lesson you've learned that you'd want to pass along to someone else?
So this might sound cliche, but
Uh-huh.
one thing I say to my friends a lot is that cliches are true, right?
Uh-huh.
So my advice would be don't give up, and let me explain what that don't give up
Yeah.
means. As I said, community management is very hard. In case nobody has ever
Right.
said it, and it is very hard. And it being hard means, as I said, some days what you want to do and the things that you actually do might not resonate. It might even fall short of the business goals that you're trying to achieve. There are times when your community will not be what you want it to be or where you want it to be. And what keeps me going is, oh, tomorrow might be better. Tomorrow will actually be better. Oh, I could try something I haven't tried before. What are others doing that I think that is out of reach or out of touch that I can try? Or sometimes it's as simple as going back to my very active members to ask, is this community what it used to be for you? Are you still getting value from this community? Where did we fall short? What did we stop doing? What should we consider doing? It's just, again, as I said, don't give up. You have to keep trying new things. And again, for the stakeholders, let me bring it back to that maybe sometimes question you a lot. And you might
Yeah.
wonder, oh, sometimes, of course, your esteem. Again, people say, oh, separate your emotions from work and all of those things. I think that is high sounding. But
That's
what
not
I believe is that
practical.
what
Yes.
exactly. Thank you for that. We are whole humans. All these separate you. Your work should matter to you. And if your work matters to you, then a lot of your emotions is actually going to go into that. If you care about your work, I'm sorry, your emotions will be involved to a
Yeah.
very, very large extent. So it's keep trying new things, right? With the stakeholders, are there ways that you can make them understand this? I'm going to give an example, right? I I was a bit stuck on how to go about my reporting because I work in a business where there's engineering, there's the business team, and then community. And the way others go about reporting is not exactly the way that I would go because of the peculiarities of my own role. And so I was a bit stuck. I had been thinking about it for a while. One day I was like, oh, I could use Claude and I could just run Claude, give Claude enough context about my work. And I came up with these very, very good reporting templates that, my MD had to say, oh, wow. And now, even for me, what it did is it even now helps me articulate better the work that I do and how it ties back to the community. So the part of not giving up could be, oh, should you have more conversations with stakeholders outside of the formal official meetings? Do you have to go to your line manager after a meeting to say, hey, this is what I'm doing and this is how it translates to my work? Maybe during meetings, people are trying to stick to time. There might not be enough time for you to explain, enough time for them to dig into what you're doing. And most times there might be that conclusion that, oh, you're not doing anything, right? So the part of not giving up could be trying to find ways to provide some sort of synergy with your stakeholders in which they understand you better. The part of not giving up could be learning something new. It could be getting a certification. It could actually even be attending community conferences for community managers. It could be trying new things for your members. It could be speaking to them more. It could be stopping some things that feel good to you, but are not necessarily bringing the result. But what I would tell someone is to never give up because community management is hard. And there's a tendency, a very high tendency to just boot out of it in the first few years. Oh, I've even been 5 years into it and I still feel all of that on some days. It's just to keep trying, keep iterating, and then,
Yeah.
see where it leads you. Yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm. I thank you so much, Chizurum, for that. I love your answer. Let me tell you why I really love your answer, right?
Yeah,
Most times we feel bad about something, and then because we feel bad about that thing, we feel justified. Oh, I'm so sad
exactly.
my community is
Exactly.
not growing, and you feel
Mm-hmm.
justified and you move on. The next day you come back and feel sad. But I like how you've tied it into, yeah, you could feel bad about something, but always be in motion. Okay. So not
Yeah.
giving up means you may have to sometimes it's inward, you have to go learn something. Sometimes it's outward, you have to go advocate for yourself. I have a whole podcast episode around it. But
Mm-hmm.
I really just
Mm-hmm.
love our conversation. It's so
Yeah,
practical,
same here.
effortlessly simple, but very practical. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Chizurum. It's been quite
Thank
an
you for
insightful
having
conversation. Yeah. Do have
yeah.
a lovely
Had
day.
a good time.
Thank you for listening to the Early Stage Marketer podcast. I hope today's story gave you something to reflect on or even something to try in your own work. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with someone who might find it helpful. See you next time.